Organization. But it doesn't increase its organizational level. It's got to, and deal with internal conflicts that are relatively trivial. If you want to.
What are the conflicts?
Go ahead.
Huh? What are the conflicts?
A lot of them personality. Yeah. Those positions are very good. Yeah. Positions are very good.
Be the same position as before.
Well, given the stagnancy of the country, it's pretty positions become classical.
Question, Rich? Come on. I'm inviting you to ask.
They can make a real difference when they assume power in the Congress.
Well, you see, this is the key district here. I mean, Pelosi's the speaker. Usually you have to go to some remote southern state in order to say to people, do you know that your representative is the chairperson of the Rules Committee or the Appropriations Committee? Now you come to San Francisco, and she's not getting enough heat. She's getting a free ride because, you know, by comparison, you know, still that type of thing. And she's not getting enough heat, and she's got a huge leverage with Reed, and she's got Murtha there. That's, you know, she's not supporting sufficiently, and she's got Blue Dog Democrats pulling her in the other way. But she's not getting pulled from her district. Even our district's probably the most anti-war district in the country, right? Which is certainly up there. So there has to be an organization that just deals with that issue of citizens. Just think of the leverage. And when minimum wage comes up, the Republicans are going to try to trade off with a huge tax break for business, dollar for dollar. And how's she going to deal on it? Well, it's going to be the kind of heat she's going to have to take, and others too. So I mean, I just want to focus on that because that's really important. It's quite clear in the last few years she hasn't gotten enough heat. And this happens in a district where the rhetoric is okay, and in comparison with Hester and all these other guys, delay. See what happens? It just lulls people.
Rob, one thing, I don't know if you're aware, Chrissy Kiefer, who actually toured with me the last time we went up to Northern California together. She's got the dance brigade at the mission. She was one of the dancers. She ran for Congress in this district. And one of the big things that comes up, though, is that people say, well, why should I vote against somebody that's going to have a leadership position in Congress? Or why am I going to deprive this woman of having this important post? And so even though someone like Chrissy articulates good issues and is out there hustling and really fighting, people are reluctant not to give their vote to the woman that's going to be the speaker. You know, and that's hard.
Well, it's a big mistake. It's not that, you know, she's afraid of losing. There's a different dimension of pressure that's on people. I mean, if she has an inclination to go further than she's going, but is impeded because other forces are opposing her, that's where the difference comes in, when she's pushed by her district.
Yeah, I had a question for you about just immediately after the 2000 election results were in, and it was that whether or not you could put together a website that would do a virtual presidency, as if you had won, who you would have appointed, what you would have done on a day-to-day basis. And at the time, you know, I think your answer, I called you on a talk show, and your answer was that you thought it was kind of almost like too much of a thumb in the eye for Bush. But I think now it's pretty obvious he's in a much more saboteur position. Would you consider doing something like that? A virtual presidency? What would your day-to-day operate? You know, where would you do EPA moves? What would your, and this would be an opportunity to give exposure to some of the tens of thousands of honest people that you know that would.
You're asking to personalize it in terms of potential cabinet stuff. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's as if you had won, and so it's almost like a.
Yeah, we do that all the time in the old-fashioned way, you know, with the tax and.
See, in this way, it would have given, you know, you've over the course of many years, you've known honest people that would have made great appointments, and so this would have been an opportunity to state, okay, I would have appointed this person to this say like the EPA libraries are being shut down right now, who would you have appointed for EPA librarian? Who would you have appointed for?
That's a good idea. I'm just not a web person. Somebody wants to come along and do it. I can give them the input. We did a puppet show. I don't know if you saw it. We did a puppet show with Bush, me, and Kerry. And it was fairly widely received. I mean, in the sense of,
Would I have been the Attorney General? In the Nader shadow government.
much harder.
Yeah, Jack.
I wonder if I could just put this question just with a little preface. I think that there's many people in relation to the war situation who are really in despair about what the Democrats can do, certainly the Republicans. The people don't believe and they don't trust them because they know that they're just really two parts of one party, and that's the capitalist party. I mean, in the generic sense, many people in this country really believe that. And the Greens have an opportunity to begin something that would really indicate this is the organization or this is the group that really wants to spearhead the end of this war. So my question is there a way that you, in this area, can get on, even if it's on a thing like Channel 9, and be able to get the views out vis-a-vis the situation and the war, so that you yourself and the Green Party here and other independent parties who would also be very sympathetic to that would coalesce around?
Yeah, well, you know something, this is a different situation in that 17% of the people support more troops in Iraq. Almost 70% are opposed to it. Legions of former generals and admirals and diplomats and intelligence people were against the war before it started and are against it now. What else do the Democrats need, right? They've got an unpopular president. They got a terrible situation in Iraq, bloody beyond the estimates. They've got public opinion massively on their side. They've won, quote, an election where the turning point was the war, so it's sort of a mandate. They have control of Congress. And they've got all these people they can bring up, general lists and admiral lists, and national security chief, that, in both Republican and Democratic Party. What else do they need?
Guts.
Yeah. So most of the time, the argument is, how do you increase public opinion? How do you inform the public? How do you get whistleblowers? How do you get former mucky mucks who were in the Pentagon and CIA? It's all there. But there's a real problem with the Democrats. Not just the leadership. Kucinich, for example, can hardly multiply himself. Murtha can hardly multiply himself. You know, Mr. Defense Contractor. So what it comes down to is what Sloan Coffin told me before he died. Remember? Any of you, William Sloan Coffin? Great, okay. I said I was the last person to interview him. It's on the website democracyrising.us. And he said, what's left? He said, occupy the offices of the members of Congress. Nonviolent civil disobedience. Of course, now it's like a fort. It was hard to get in, but you see, there's an nth factor that has to be done. It's not going to. And now, by the way, there are going to be over 1,000 active military who are going to petition Congress in the second week of January. Colonels all the way down to privates against the war. Guys have been in Iraq twice and so on. And so that's building up there. And you know, it's all coming together. It's far more than occurred to get us out of Vietnam, except for the casualty figures. The U.S. casualty figures are bigger.